So, first off, I'm back on this mic just because I've been having throat issues, so I wanted to keep it close to my mouth so that people can hear me because I know people are complaining. Also, I'm sweaty as fuck. It is hot as shit here in Australia. We are burning up. So, sorry if I look real fucking shiny in the ring light, but it's hot as fuck here, man. We're a desert country. So, Smile 2. This is one of the big horror releases of this year. It's got the same director and the same writer, Parker Finn. He's got more budget and he goes with a bigger story. This is getting some really positive reviews online. The first wave of critics seem to like it, which is really, really good. That is good for horror. I fucking love it when theatrical horror releases do really well because high tide raises all ships. I'm a big fan of that. However, I didn't love this one. I didn't think it was good as the first. I was actually a little annoyed when I walked out of this one, specifically to do with large chunks of plot. Now this movie is fine, I should say. It's not a bad movie. It's fine. And I think maybe in previous years, it might have cracked my top 10, like probably around 9 or 10. The problem is, this year is fucking stacked. We got such good horror. And this movie has two big problems that keep it out of the top 10 for me. First problem is, I don't give a shit about Sky Riley. Throughout the film, lots of people tell her she's toxic, and she is. She's real toxic. She's not a nice person. To be fair, you understand why she's like that, right? You completely get it. You're like, okay, you were a child star. You've got a stage mum. I completely understand why you are like how you are. But in the first one, Rose's downfall was that she cared for people too much. She tried to help people, and that put her in the firing line. That made Rose instantly a more likable character for me. When Rose started her descent into madness, when she got cursed, she started at like mental health level 100, and then it slowly descended, right? So by the end of the movie, she's running on fumes, and you've seen this big story arc where she has slowly taken a descent into madness. Sky, I could give two shits about and she gives two shits about what happens to anyone else. So when the madness starts to descend, and I will say that about the movie, the madness does fucking descend. Due to her backstory, her mental health was sitting at like 40-50% anyway. So the descent into madness isn't really that big, so I wasn't as invested. And that might work for some people. Some people might be like, yeah, but that's why she's not believed. And yeah, but neither was Rose in the first one. The clever thing I find about the Smile movies is how unassailable this fucking creature is, right? Like, it just ruins your life piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. And having an unreliable narrator who is mentally unwell from the start takes away the big hit that I got from the first one. On top of that, her not being a likable lead, I was just sort of like, as shit started falling apart, I was like, shame, bro. Maybe you should be nicer as a person. And not in the way that I do that for slashers where you sort of root for the killer or anything. I didn't do that. But that also might have been funner. I don't know. It's just watching someone unlikable go crazy and be even shittier to the people around them. And I didn't love that. That being said, the amazing jump scares are back. There are two really fucking good ones in this. One involving a crazy fan, which it happens quite early in the movie, which is sort of unfortunate because I feel like it was the peak scare. But it happens in her apartment with a crazy fan, and I was like, fuck, this is terrifying. Like, so good, so good. Loved it. There's another one that involves backup dancers, and that's also really good, but that's in the trailer. So the jump scares are... my favourite jump scares, or what I think the biggest jump scares are, pretty early on. So the movie peaks early. There's really only two likable characters in this whole movie, and one of them they hit with the Control Z. So, you're sort of like, fuck, okay, no one to root for then. That being said, Smile 3 could be a fucking hitter, because where Smile 2 ends is really interesting. Like, it's a really good setup. And I was instantly like, okay, didn't love that movie. Bring me the next one though, because I'm fucking in. You know what I mean? I've got complex feelings about this one. Smile 2 follows pop star Sky Riley, played wonderfully by Naomi Scott. Sky has had a history of mental health demons and substance abuse. At the height of fame, as she's about to embark on her world tour, her and her BF, played by Jack Nicholson's son, they've got the same crazy face, you've probably seen press about that, are involved in a car accident, and he ends up dying. A year later, she's back after some rehab, and she's ready to start like a comeback tour. It's like her final chance. Everyone's sort of given up on her, but she's like, fuck it, I'm going to do a comeback tour. However, after witnessing her drug dealer sort of sketch out and die by, I want to say suicide, but is it suicide? I don't know. She becomes the fascination of Smiley. I don't know if that's his name. That's what I'm calling him. The ever-reaching Smile Demon. He's decided to become famous and be attached to a pop star. Good for him. Now, positives. This movie, beautifully shot. There is some amazing cinematography by Charlie Saroff. They follow Naomi Scott around with a camera really closely. It almost feels like a backstage documentary. And there are really good mix of like upside down shots and beautiful vistas and cityscapes and apartments. It's actually a little like The Substance in a good way. It's a little bit like The Substance in that the movie's quite aesthetic. Like, it's super fucking stylish, this movie. Naomi Scott is fucking brilliant in this movie too. Like, brilliant. She got, like, straight away, hook, line, and sinker. I was like, oh yeah, you're a pop star. For sure. I completely believe it. There is a music video shoot in this movie that actually just goes like a normal video for like 2 or 3 minutes. And I just forgot I was watching a horror movie. I just thought I was watching like a Lady Gaga-esque music video, and I was like, fuck, they're smashing this. It was really, really good. They also made a really great friend character in Gemma, played by Dylan Jalula, I think it is. Jalula? Something like that. Zan, from Kimmy Schmidt. She gave me sort of, Daria? Like Jane from Daria vibes. And I fucking love that. Real deadpan humor, but she was a good support. The gore is also way better than the first. The gore is so good in this. It's so fucking good. They went way harder. It's more brutal. And I did like how they showed the perils of being a superstar. You know, she's been pushed and pulled in all directions by PR, agents, her mum, fans. It looks like fucking hell. But the problem is, she started in hell, and she just goes further into hell. She doesn't, start normal and then go into hell. Like I alluded to, though, this does end really well and in a really interesting spot, and I think the last 20 minutes are the strongest by far. They do go a bit balls to the wall, which I loved. Problem is, the first mile, they get the balance between reality and psychosis just right. Like, there's enough that you're like, okay, got me, fair, good one. In this one, there's so much fuckery that at some point, they might as well have just gone, and then she woke up at the end. Like, there were huge, I'm talking dozens of minutes in this film where they could have just gone, and then she woke up, and it would have been the same fucking outcome. And after doing that a couple of times, I was just like, fuck off. You can't, if there's too much face stuff, you lose the investment because you just think any crazy shit that happens, you go, oh, she's dreaming, or that's not real, or that's in her head. And they also just set up too many red herrings. I don't know if maybe they were cut for time or something, but there is a scene where they explicitly talk about the dangers of being in a certain room. Like, they go, if this happens in this room, bad news, it's fucked. And then that room sort of has nothing to do with the story, or nothing really bad happens. And I was like, did they cut that for time? Was there a scene that actually involved that room? I don't know. Chekhov would be fucking furious. I also stated it before, but Riley as a character, super unlikable. At least she was to me. I was like, oh, I don't like you at all. You're a bit of and she's just not good. Like, awful to her friends. Just not good. So when she starts going crazy, she just gets slightly shittier to the people around her, and then you just don't sympathize with her, and you're like, okay, are you going to die? Who knows? Maybe. But if you do, okay, which I wasn't like that with Rose in the first. So while I thought this was flashier and bigger than the first Smile movie, it's weaker plot-wise to me. Like, I also didn't understand the demon rules in this one. There was a few things where I was like, okay, so he can do that, but he can't do this. What's the... I'm saying he. I don't know what it is. Sorry, I shouldn't gender the demon. But, you know, like, well, I don't get the rules. What are the... And they have a guy in there that explains all the rules, but then they do something really weird with him, and it's just like, okay, so were they the rules or not? I do think Smile 1's better, although I seem to be in the minority with that, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. Because I like Smile 1. I really did like Smile. If you really like the Smile universe, go watch it at the cinemas, because it does look amazing on a big screen, and the sound design's really good. They, like, cut out. Music just stops. Before something scary happens, they just fucking stop the music, and you're like, here it comes. But some of the jump scares did get a bit like, they're just like someone jumping out and screaming, and you're like, okay, man, I sort of knew that was going to happen. You got me anyway, but it didn't feel good. But if you're not a huge fan of the Smile universe, if you were like ambivalent on the first one, I don't think you're going to get much out of the second one. So probably just wait till it's on streaming. That being said, Smile 3 could be really fucking interesting. I recommend watching this if you love the Smile universe. Easy sell. If you love backstage movies where lots of the drama is about the dangers of fame, Star is Born, Walk the Line, which is one of my favourite movies ever. This does that really well. If you're a sucker for like a beautiful apartment with big windows, this has that. Like The Substance, this is one of those. It's really good. I don't recommend watching this if you need a lot of explanation in your films. This tells you pretty much fuck all. I don't think I know anything more about it than I did Smile 1, which I'm okay with for some things, but it does. At what point because I feel like I'm just running on a treadmill. Am I going to get any more info at all about what this thing can do or what it is or any of that? I don't know. I would like it in Smile 3. Please. If you hate dream sequences, if they piss you off in movies, this will shit you. If you need likable characters and horror to root for, this will also shit you. If you like this and want another Curse movie though, and you're hoping for this one, and you haven't seen It Follows from 2014, see that instead. It was sort of the cinematic unveiling of Micah Monroe, and it has one of the greatest jump scare scenes of all time, and a banging soundtrack like Smile 2 has. Smile 2 has a banging soundtrack. The premise is that a young woman hooks up with a guy and finds out that he did that to pass on a curse, like Smile 1 and 2, by sexual activity, however. And when you get cursed, what happens is this entity just starts following you, and if it catches you, you're fucked. So ST Demon is there's the one-liner for that. It does paranoia really well, and there are some sort of psychosis sequences that I think are much better than the Smile universe. But if you haven't seen It Follows 2, It Follows, there's a new one coming out too. I highly recommend seeing It Follows 1 before that. Another great movie that is similar in themes to this one is The Night House. It came out in 2020, I believe, and it's one of the best psychological thrillers about grief and mental health of the last 10 years. I really, really like The Night House. It's about a widow played brilliantly by Rebecca Hall who loses her husband, and upon sorting his affairs and documents, she sort of finds a bunch of mysterious notes and these strange architectural plans for the house she's living in. But there's a bunch of weird shit in it, and she was like, hang on, we don't have this room. What is that? Mystery upon mystery upon mystery upon mystery. As she starts to dig, shit gets stranger. It's really tense, and there are a couple of really fucking amazing jump scares. One in particular, really fucking good. Really good jump scare. I loved it. So, see The Night House. It's really good. Other than that, let me know what you thought of Smile 2. If you are a Smile head, did you love it better than the first? Most people seem to think so. Is that just because it was more fun or campy or did more things? Let me know. I love that you loved it. It just didn't hit me the same one as the first one did. As always, thanks for watching, and remember, if you want to follow along with Spooktober, subscribe, hit the bell. That's the best way. Hopefully see you tomorrow for another review. Peace.